Today it's Thursday, January 18, 2024. I have one case now here with a NOS. The installation is straightforward. Okay, I'm fixing a frame. It's gonna be on the passenger seat. Where is located the passenger seat? Obviously it's missing the passenger seat, but it's gonna be mounted there to be accessible next to the driver, to be able to open it and close it, to be able to see also the cage, the pressure. Now, this stand here has one element here that's warming up. It's a heating element down here. And there is also this blanket. This blanket, when you apply 13.8 volts, it has 315 watts. If you divide it, you're going to see that it's approximately 23 amperes. Okay, these two things, it demonstrate one blanket and this element here, the heating element, to warm up the bottle. All right, I'm showing also here. Now, how is going to be my connection? How I'm going to connect it? And I'm going to reach at the point at the end. All right, here you have ignition on, fuse 5 ampere, and here you have one switch. Turn it on and off. All right. The positive from the switch, it goes to the temperature controller. There will gonna be a temperature controller, and there will gonna be one probe inside of the blanket, on the hottest spot of the blanket. I'm gonna open the blanket, put it down, give electricity, and I wanna see which spot it's the hottest to get a reference from. Because the probe from the temperature controller has to be inside in specific position, and I'm gonna make one mark where it's supposed to be all the time. Then the temperature controller, it gets from the ignition, the positive ignition on. This is the switch. That means the driver, he'll gonna choose when he's gonna turn it on or off. It goes to the temperature controller. The probe, it's gonna be mostly on this blanket, not on this one, because this one has a space. It will gonna warm up the bottle, but not that much like the blanket, because this has direct contact to the tank. Okay. The controller is going to be grounded here. This is going to be also grounded here. It has a 4 pins here. And this is going to be the positive, the order. It depends what temperature you're going to choose. If you choose, let us say, 40, 50 degrees, you're going to close the circuit. You're going to give electricity. And you're going to start warming up till 40, 50 degrees Celsius. Example, the blankets. As soon as they warm up and you see the probe here that already reached the target, you're going to turn it off. Okay, you might need to crank it to 80 degrees as an example. It depends the pressures that are gonna build up the bottle. We're gonna find the sweet spot, but this is for more safety. To don't forget it on, because here it's very hot country. It's not like if you're in a cold country, you don't care that much. But just in case you don't have any headache, it's good safety, this one. And you can bypass it even, by the way. It has an option to bypass it, to have only the switch. All right, now. This one is connected to this relay, that's going to be 40 ampere relay. Then one relay is going to be connected to the other, and then this one is going to be grounded, because I'm giving positive here. All right. All this thing till the ground here, the relays, you're going to have 5 ampere fuse. It should be enough, because the temperature control, it gets only 2 amperes. It should be more than enough. All right, for safety at the beginning. Then here we have a battery. The negative of the battery, the ground, and that's the positive. A separate cable from the positive of the battery till one relay, and from the positive of the battery till the other relay. Each of these, at the beginning, you're going to have 20 ampere fuse. I'm going to explain why. Then, as soon as it closes the circuit, the relay, you're going to allow it to pass the electricity to the blankets. All right? And this is going to be grounded, obviously. Each blanket is going to be grounded, and so on. All right, finish the story. What's my point here? What's the thing here? This blanket, it's 23 amperes. It's 22.8, all right? It might blow a fuse, but I prefer to blow a fuse than to start melting any cable. The cables are gonna be rated for 40 amperes. Even that's thicker the cable, it might blow the fuse because it's gonna need some amperes for the cables, all right? But this is fine. It's much better to blow a fuse and to put, let's say, 30 amperes and then see the temperatures without the cylinder. Just leave it to warm up, cool it down at the same time to have more things to do, because as soon as warming up, the amperes are gonna drop down. Yeah, But this I'm gonna check it to make sure that the wiring and the amperes and the fuses are gonna be fine, don't have any problem. All right. Now, what's my problem here? I'm gonna explain. I'm gonna explain what's my problem. My problem is that most probably the alternator is not gonna last long. Assuming that both of them, let us say also this heating element, let us say that's 23 amperes. That means as soon as you are giving, no need to write A next to it. Let's write only the number. 1 second. Just sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. We have 23 ampere, one element, heating element there, 23 ampere, the blanket, fine. And we have, let us say, all the system is gonna be another 5 amperes. All right, that's the best case scenario. 46, 51. All right, we have 51 amperes there. That means as soon as you make the switch on and start warming, you're gonna have a spike at least 51 ampere only from this system. Keep in mind, the battery is 70 ampere. Okay? Then you have the water methanol injection pump, all right, that you're gonna suck, I'm gonna say they're gonna suck at least 10 amperes. All right? And if it's night, you have the headlights on, I'm generous also, I'm not saying 20 amperes, I'm saying that you're gonna have another 10 amperes only for the headlights and tail lights, that it's not realistic, it's gonna be much more. But let us say that, I don't know, you have an LED lights and it's not getting so many amperes. What's happening here? Here, just only from that, I'm not saying the rest of the things. I'm not saying fuel pumps. I'm not saying, because there are 2 extra fuel pumps. I'm not calculating the fuel pumps. I'm not saying about all the other electronics, ECU, TCU, and all these things. Just by only these things, just by only turning on the headlights, spraying methanol, because when you're under load, you will gonna spray methanol. You have also the nose with the blankets. You're already at 71 ampere. The alternator, it will gonna overheat, that's for sure. And the 70 amperes battery is not enough. That means, okay, you're gonna tell me you're gonna put a 100 ampere battery. Yeah, but the alternator, it's rated to charge a 70 ampere battery, not 100 ampere battery. It will gonna overheat, that's my point. That's the thing. So if you want to play safe here, you need to add 40 amperes on top on the alternator and on the battery. Not necessarily on the battery, you can put a 100 ampere battery and put a 40 or 50 amperes more bigger alternator. If it's a 100 ampere, to make it 140, as an example. That's my point. Like I said, I'm playing safe from the point of the wiring. I don't want to melt any wire. Okay? I'm playing safe from the fuses. Some people they're gonna put here direct 30 ampere fuse if this is 23 ampere. I prefer to blow a fuse and replace it with 30 ampere and check that again than to be bigger the fuse for a B reason to don't suck 23 amperes, to suck, let us say, to have a spike at 40 amperes when you put it on. It's a heating blanket, it's the resistance, you know, it's not, let us say, it's not an LED. That's my point. So I prefer to blow a fuse than melting wiring or to having any other problem. That's my safety. I'm not an electrician, like I said. All right, but my biggest concern at this story here, it's as soon as you turn it on and then you start push the car, and then the fuel pumps are gonna start running, the methanol is gonna start spraying. At the same time, you're gonna warm up the bottle, and then when it starts spraying, you're gonna drop the temperature, and then you're gonna kick in the temperature control. You're gonna see lower temperature, so you're gonna start warming up both. You know, yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. We might need an alternator later on. You're gonna tell me for 1 pull or 2 pulls or for some time it might be fine, but in long terms, I don't think it's gonna last. I have seen that before. That's why I'm saying that. That's it. That's it. It's just one small update. This is obviously for the owner. All right. To understand, I already saw him what controller I'm gonna use. I need one switch from him. No, it's not something crazy. It's just only to give electricity to the controller. All right, it's not controlling this switch. It's not controlling. It's controlling the temperature controller. That the temperature controller controlling the two relays. All right. So I need from the owner to find one nice switch and to tell me where he wants to be placed, exactly in the car, not where I want to be placed, where he wants to control it. The temperature controller, because you have to see the temperatures, and you can program it. It's programmable. All right. Yeah, that's what I want. And I want also from him to understand that he might have a problem. He might have a problem later on with the alternator. You're gonna tell me it's a short pull. Yeah, but you're gonna turn on to warm up the bottle before you make the race, before you start pushing. You're gonna monitor the pressure to be okay. You have a full bottle, let's say, you monitor the pressure while it's warming up, and then you find the sweet spot where you wanna be. And then the temperature controller, it's opening the circuit, it stops warming up more the bottle, you have a nice pressure, and you start pushing with the car. As soon as you start pushing, like I said, this is gonna cool down, the probe is gonna see that the temperature is gonna drop down, and it's gonna start again the two blankets, the one blanket and the heating element here. So that means you're gonna have one spike on the amperes when you make switch on, when you turn on the switch, when you close the circuit here on this switch, and then you're gonna have another one spike during acceleration. That means as soon as you accelerate down the street, it will gonna kick in also this, while the car will gonna rev. This is gonna put some load on the alternator. And if it's not rated for this amperes, the battery, yeah, I hope that you get my point. Where's my point, all right? I just want to be aware, the owner, what's happening, what's going on. From my side, like I said, wiring, fuses, everything is gonna be spotless. It's gonna be with a plug, it's gonna be with a soldering iron and a heat shrink, not exposed cables by any means. And the relays will can have their own plug. That means you can service it later on. If something happens later on, you can just unplug it and plug the new one. That's it. Thank you very much. I hope that I make myself clear. If you don't understand something, I'm talking about the owner, just let me know. Pass by. Yeah. Thank you.